Hey guys, as we all know, those of us that have been in churches over the years, and we hear testimonies on Wednesday nights, Sunday nights, when it's a more intimate place, sometimes those testimonies can be uh, very nerve wracking, very challenging to listen to. That's what I've always thought as I got older in the church. My testimony starts at the age of 4. I remember very distinctly kneeling at my mom's bed. Um, while my father was at work. We knelt after we watched the Dukes of Hazzard and had our slice of cheese, which was our usual nighttime snack. I remember asking Jesus into my heart, forgive my sins, be in my life, and help me through the rest of my life to make good choices so that one day I would be in heaven with him. That was great. I went to elementary school and grew up, and the older I got, I went to Christian summer camps, and I got saved several more times. But those were pressure salvations, as I like to call them, that a lot of us get into. So my testimony really starts at the age of 4. I didn't have an amazing backstory of all the terrible things that I could have done between the ages of 1 and 3. I was fortunate to grow up in a Christian home. The older I got in high school, uh, I kept my testimony, but I didn't share it. I didn't tell other people about it. The other day, I received a pocket knife from a father of my best friend in high school, and I wear that on my belt uh, to remind me of the lack of testimony that I used to have. I never talked to Jim, was his name. I never talked to him about salvation. I thought that my life in high school would show him, and then he would come to Christ through that. I was wrong. Jim died after high school, accident in the woods, and unfortunately, I don't know if anyone ever reached him. And that was my field at that time to reach him. I got married in Bible college, like I've said before. I went to Practical Bible College. I met my wife there, and we were on our way to ministry. We were on our way the fast path to being a youth pastor and being used in the ministry. However, we got married. I dropped out of college um, to pay the light bill and to pay, just normal things that come along with a young marriage. And I started to wander. I started to get into the wrong crowds. Even though I was a Christian, I knew I was a Christian. I knew the right from wrong. The decisions I was making were not positive, and I kept going in a negative direction. This led to some deep sins that I got caught up into from bad influences. The people I hung around were not a good influence in my life. And my testimony, when I tell people, I love telling it because my testimony is all about two things: grace and forgiveness. My wife has forgiven me, God has forgiven me, my family has forgiven me. My wife showed me grace, God showed me grace when He accepted me as His child, and I have grown since those things. So for me, going into the details of my testimony is not a necessary thing, especially not in certain crowds. You have to know your audience to know what they can handle, what they want to handle, and you have to know what the audience is there for. When I share my testimony with men and women, I have to gauge that. I have to know, I have to feel what they are wanting and what they can use, what my testimony can be beneficial for their future growth or their immediate growth, and know what to cut out that is not going to do them any good, and it's not going to do me necessarily any good to tell all the gory details of my walk. It was about 2010, 2009, I guess. God really got into my life and brought some things right to the forefront, smacked me right in the head, brought me to my knees, and I had the opportunity to make some decisions that were going to be life changing for my family. And we went forward with that. Now, after 2010, I made some more bad decisions because that sin was still there in my life. I had not truly gotten rid of it. 3 years ago, I put a chainsaw through my leg, through my ankle. It wasn't something that I was planning. It was an accident. And I was I was in bed for about 14 weeks. Could not walk. It was touchy. I didn't know if I was going to lose that foot or not. Went right straight through the ankle. And but I remember laying in bed thinking, this is it. 36 years of wasted time that I had time to reach people for Christ. And I had dwindled it away, even though I knew the right things. So I remember laying there in bed, my foot elevated, and all I could do was pray. You could watch TV, but you can only watch the same reruns so many times. So I would pray for God to use this for some benefit. God came to me in a dream one night. I'm not one of these big people of visions and dreams and whatnot, but I remember exactly how it happened, that he came to me in a dream and said, you're getting back in the game of ministry. I woke up, I told my wife that, and we thought it was crazy. But we keep pursuing that dream. That's why I'm back in college now, finishing up some details in classwork to pursue that desire, that calling of ministry that God put in my heart as a little kid. All the things that I've done, yeah, I would like to have that boring Christian testimony of I was a good choir boy and grew up and made all the right decisions. I like to tell people, God allowed me to make take 20 years off, not necessarily off, but take 20 years to build up a really good testimony. So in certain situations, I can have people not fall asleep when I give that testimony. Anyways, guys, thank you. I'd love to share some of the things that I have overcome, and with you. If you ever want to reach out and ask questions, God has been graceful. My family has been graceful and forgiving through all these things. Have a great night, and I'll see you next time.